Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make these cute little Easter eggs. They're a really simple pattern and they work up pretty quickly, so let's get started. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using this Paintbox yarn. I'm going to use the pink for the color A, or the main color, and then the color B is going to be purple. Now this is a size 3 yarn that I'm using, and it does suggest using a 4mm hook with this yarn. However, I like to use a smaller hook when I'm doing anything in the round so that my stitches aren't too big. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using this 2.5mm hook. But you use whatever you want. You can also use chunky yarn for this pattern. It will work for any weight pattern, so just choose the yarn that you want to use. We're also going to need some scissors, a stitch marker, or a scrap piece of yarn if you prefer that. And we're also going to need some fiber fill. So let's get started. Okay, so to begin, we are going to start with a magic ring. Now, if you're unsure how to make any of these stitches, I will link a few tutorials down in the description box and just above here in this video for step-by-step instructions on how to create these stitches. So for our magic ring, we're just going to wrap our yarn and yarn over and pull through. And there's our magic ring. Now for row 1, we're going to make 8 single crochets within the round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is what we're looking like. Now we're going to close our magic ring. And this is what row 1 will look like. Now place your stitch marker. I'm just going to use a scrap piece of yarn because that's just what I prefer to do. But you can use a stitch marker also. Now moving on to row 2, we are going to place an increase stitch in every single stitch around. So 2 single crochets in each stitch, 1 and 2. And at the end of this row, we're going to have 16 stitches. So basically placing 2 single crochets in each stitch around. And that is the end of row 2. Now for row 3, we're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch and an increase in the second stitch. And we're going to repeat that 8 times all the way around. So at the end of row 3, we should have 24 stitches. So single crochet and an increase. Single crochet, increase. And that is row 3 completed. Now for row 4, we are going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch that we have. So there's 24 stitches from our previous row. So we're just going to place 24 single crochets. 3, 4, 5, and I will meet you at the end of row 4 for row 5. So we have now completed 4 rows and we are on to row 5. So for row 5, we're going to place a single crochet in 2 stitches. So single crochet 2 and an increase stitch in the 3rd. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and an increase stitch. So 2 single crochets in 1. Single crochet, single crochet, and an increase. We're going to complete this 8 times, and at the end of this row we should have 32 stitches. So I will meet you at the end of row 5. Now for rows 6 through 8, so 6, 7, and 8, 3 rows, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. We have 32 single crochets currently, so we're going to place 32 single crochets for rows 6, 7, and 8. So I will complete these rows off camera and I'll meet you back here for row 9. So we have now completed up to row 8. Now you could do this entire pattern in one solid color if you'd like to. I'm going to change the color now and do a little pattern to show you kind of different ways you can make this, but you can honestly do whatever. You could do every few rows a different color, you could do a rainbow egg, you could do it all one solid color. It's really whatever you decide to do. But for this tutorial, I'm going to change the color. So if you've noticed here on my hook, the last stitch of row 8, I haven't finished it yet. I've left the 2 loops on the hook, and that's because I'm going to take my new color and I'm going to finish it off with that color so that I get a nice seamless color change. So basically you're just going to grab your new color and you're going to pull it through to finish that single crochet, just like that. Now for row 9, we're just going to place 1 single crochet in color B yarn or whatever you've decided all the way around. All right, so we have now completed row 9. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to color A. Now I like to just keep color B attached. We are going to use it again. So if you want to cut it, if that's easier for you, you can cut it. I'm going to keep mine attached. And we're just going to grab our color A yarn again. And again, same thing. We're going to finish our last stitch of row 9 with the new color. So just yarn over and pull through, just like so. Now for row 10, we're going to do another single crochet row all the way around, single crochet 32. 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll meet you on the other side. All right, so now that we've completed row 10, we're going to move on to row 11. So what we're going to do for row 11 is we're going to alternate 2 single crochets in color A and then 1 in color B. 2 in color A and 1 in color B. So again, just keep your yarn attached, it just makes it easier. So 1 in color A, 2, and we're not going to finish that single crochet, just going to hold that other yarn and I'm going to grab my purple yarn or whatever your color A yarn is, and I'm going to finish that stitch, and then I'm going to place one single crochet here in the purple yarn. But again, I'm not going to use the pink to, or I'm not going to use the purple to finish this stitch. I'm going to grab the pink again, and I'm going to finish this stitch, and I'm going to place two single crochets in the pink, 1, 2, finish it in the purple, and then one single crochet in the purple, and you're going to do this all the way around. Like I said before, you do not have to do this. You can just do a regular single crochet row of 32 single crochets. And this is kind of what the design you're going to get. So 2 regular, 1 purple, 2 pink, 1 purple, 2 pink, 1 purple. So just complete that all the way around, and I will see you at the other side. All right, so that is row 11 complete. Now for row 12, we're going to be working with color A yarn. So for me, that's the pink yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 6 single crochets and a decrease stitch. So 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an invisible decrease. So we're going to grab the front loop of the stitch and the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. 6 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, invisible decrease. We're going to do this 4 times, and our stitch count at the end will be 24. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for the last stitch, we're going to do an invisible decrease, yarn over, pull through, and once again for row 13, we're going to do one more color change. So we're going to finish this last stitch with color B yarn, like that, and we're going to move on to row 13. So for row 13 in color B yarn, we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we have 28 stitches in this round. So single crochet 28. And I'll meet you on the other side. All right, we've reached the end of row 13. Now we're going to switch back one more time to color A yarn by finishing the last stitch with that color. Now we can cut color B yarn because we're done with it. So I will just cut that to get it out of my way. And I'll just tuck that inside my egg here. so it's not in my way. Now for row 14, what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 single crochets in color A yarn, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease stitch. So front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. For row 15, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 24 single crochets. So just complete row 15 and I'll see you on the other side. All right, for row 16, we're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. Like that. So we are going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch for row 17 for a total of 20 stitches. So this is what our Easter egg is looking like thus far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stuff it. I'm just using this fiber fill here. And basically, like any project you're stuffing, you just don't want to overstuff. If you notice your stitches are splitting apart and you can see the stuffing, then you've overstuffed. So just do a little bit at a time, and I just like to spread it out a little bit inside to make sure that all the pieces of your project are being filled. And we will fill again a little bit after a few rows, so this isn't the only filling, so just fill it to where you think you want it to be. And then we're going to move on. So for row 18, we're going to do a single crochet 3 and a decrease stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease stitch. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease stitch. You're going to complete this 4 times, and at the end of this row, you'll have 16 stitches. One, 2, 3, and a decrease. Onto row 19, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we have 16 stitches, so 16 single crochets. And I'll meet you at the other side. All right, now before we move on, I'm going to stuff again. Now that the hole is getting a lot smaller, it's harder to do, so just make sure you're stuffing as you go. All right. Now row 20 is going to be our final row. And what we're going to do for row 20 is we're going to do 2 single crochets. So 1, 2, and a decrease stitch. 1, 2, and a decrease. 1, 2, and a decrease. And one more. 1, 2, and a decrease. And at the end of this row 20, we should have 12 stitches. So I'm going to cut my yarn. And now that we've completed all the rows, I'm just going to make a slip stitch into this first single crochet and pull through. Now, this is the last chance for you to do any stuffing, so if you have to fill in the top, now's the time to do that. Make sure it has the shape you want. Now we're going to take a darning needle, or you can use your crochet hook as well, and we're going to gather the last 12 stitches and just to close this top. So what I like to do, and everybody does this a little bit differently, is I just like to take the front loop of 2 stitches and pull my yarn tail through them. So the front loop and front loop and pull through, and you're just going to do that around for all 12 stitches. And just by taking the front loop, you're going to help yourself with not having many holes or any holes. Front loop. And then we're just going to pull that closed, just like that. Now I usually like to tie a little knot, so I'm just going to stick my darning needle through here and then through the loop that I made, just to tie a little knot to secure it. And then I'm just going to push my needle all the way to the bottom to hide my yarn end. I'm going to cut that. And I'm also going to remove my stitch marker. And then I'm just going to shape this. Sometimes when you pull your yarn to the end, it will make the tip of the egg go in a little bit. So there is our completed Easter egg. Now, like I said, you could honestly do anything you wanted for this color-wise. This is just the pattern that I thought I could show you guys today. But you really could do solid, you could do stripes with different colors, rainbow or pastels, or whatever you want to do. I really hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, please subscribe if you haven't already, and we hope to see you in the next one. Bye!